Wait 1 sec, we're almost there. Meeting is being live streamed. There we go. Okay. Wonderful. All right. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We're small but mighty, right? Small group of people in here. And Shabbat Shalom to everybody on Zoom. We are going to begin with Shalom Aleichem. May peace be upon you, which you can find on page 142 in the big book and page 24 in the smaller book. Please join us.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashem, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Halachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Halachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Uni LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Halachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sheichem LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Halachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Okay, Susie, would you like to light the candles? That seems to be your specialty these days. Page 120 and 2. You want to read that, please?
No, okay. As these Shabbat candles give light, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Mm. Mm.
Press it again. Look what happened.
Oh. Mm. I brought a big box of, yeah. Oh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitzanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu Lahalik Nir Shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
And the Kiddush is page 123 and 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher hishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'avahu v'ratzon hinchelanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. קיוונו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך ואהבו ורצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. I need this, whatever it is, for my throat, whatever, scratchy throat.
So at the beginning of this week's Torah portion, Va'era, God tells Moses, "Say therefore to the Israelite people, I am Adonai. I will free you, v'hotzeti, from the labors of the Egyptians, and deliver you, v'hitzalti, from their bondage. I will redeem you, v'ga'alti, with an outstretched arm and through extraordinary chastisements. And I will take you, v'lakachti, to be my people, and I will be your God." These 4 verbs of redemption become the source for the practice of drinking 4 cups of wine at the Seder. As Rabbi Michael Strassfeld suggests, they can also be understood as 4 stages of freedom. The first stage is when there is awareness of the situation. Often people don't grasp the extent of their oppression. They have become used to it, or they have lowered their expectations of what is possible. God is saying, I will free you from the notion that this is the way it has been and always will be. The second stage is to be delivered from their enslavement. Their actual situation changes. This is the most dramatic moment. Too often, it is mistakenly seen as the end of the process. The third stage is Geulah, redemption. This involves dealing with the lasting impact of the experience of oppression. People can carry the wounds of experiences of discrimination or worse for a long time. Over and over again, the Israelites express a desire to return to Egypt, romanticizing their experience by remembering their food as leeks and cucumbers rather than bland matzah. The fourth stage is to be healed from the past. It is to feel equal to others, to be fully accepted for who you are, and most of all, to be connected to a sense of meaning. Hence, I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God. Our second song is L'Chadodi, where we welcome the Sabbath bride, which is on page 138 and 20, and we are going to do verses 1, 5, and 9.
לך לך דודי לקראת בני שבת. Sorry, different melody. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. There we go. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל עם אחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, רי, כי ואורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני ליכנעלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Following God's command, Moses delivers God's message of redemption to the people, but they ignore him. Why? The Torah tells us that the Israelites did not listen due to kotzer ruach ve'avodah kasha, meaning their spirits crushed by cruel bondage. The medieval commentator Rashi, the 11th century French commentator, interprets the phrase kotzer ruach to literally mean shortness of breath. In other words, the Israelites worked so hard, they could not breathe. How could they listen to Moses when they were gasping for air? A few verses later, God tells Moses to deliver the message again. Why repeat a message that has been ignored? Rabbi Meir Simcha of Dvinsk notes slight variations between Moses's two messages. As Rabbi Dr. Oren Steinitz points out, the first message was about full redemption in the promised land. The second message, however, was about the urgent need to get out of Egypt. Moses had to modify what he said to take into account where the people were at. They were not prepared to hear a grand speech about their future. They needed to hear what they could do right now to end their suffering. As Rabbi Steinitz concludes, this is about meeting people where they are and making ourselves care about their immediate struggles, just as much as we care about the big picture, about full redemption. The Chatzi Kaddish is page 263 and 145. Yikadal v'ikadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach Yehutei v'yamlich malhutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon ufchayei dehol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, uvizman kariv, v'imaru, amen. Yeheshmei Rabbah mevarach, le'alam ulal me'almaya, yitbarach, v'ishtabach, v'itbar, v'itromam, v'itnaseh, v'itadar, v'itale, v'talal, shemei dekudesha, b'richu. Le'ela min kol bilchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, dami ran be'alma, v'imaru, amen. And we rise for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship, on the next page.
Baruch Adonai Amorah Leolam Vahe Leolam 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 Leolam
This is called Leaving Egypt by Merle Feld. The night is so dark and I'm afraid. I see nothing, smell nothing. The only reality, I am holding my mother's hand. And as we walk, I hear the sounds of a multitude in motion. In front, behind, all around, a multitude in motion. I have no thought of tomorrow. Now in the darkness, there's only motion and my mother's hand. Ahavat Olam, page 266 and 148.
Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavata, Amcha Ahavata, Torah u'mitzvot, ukimu mishpatim, otanu lemadeta, otanu lemadeta. Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu, V'shagveinu, Uvkumeinu, Nasiach bechukecha, V'nismak bedivrei Toratecha, Uvo mitzvotecha leolam ba'em. Ki heim chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvehem negei yomam, yomam belayla, be'avadcha al tasir, mimeinu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Shem Kivod, Shem Kivod, Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kivod, Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated and turn to page 268 and 150. And Carol Lee is going to lead us in the Ve'ahavta in her adorable sweatshirt from our 50th anniversary.
Absolutely. Everybody, sing with me. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha uv'shartam le'od ayatecha v'hayu l'totafot beinenecha uchtavtam Al mezuzot beitecha ubisharecha laman tiskaru basitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti echem me'eretz Mitzrayim Liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Sorry, Shaya. Shaya's happy to follow me. This is by Rabbi Rachel Barenblatt. It's called Charge, and it's a poem about this week's Torah portion. And God said to Moses, "Speak to Pharaoh and tell him to send the Israelites away. I will harden the chambers of his heart, and he will not see the sign of holiness upon your hand. For him, power is close at hand. All he has to do is speak, and his people obey. By design, no one questions. To send his workers away would take heart he doesn't have to spare. Harden yourself against them. Harden your compassion. You are my hand in the world. I'll hold your heart in safekeeping as you speak truth to power, as you send this nation into turmoil, a sign of my disfavor. Bind me as a sign upon your arm. Learn to harden your eyes, your speech. Send locusts and lice, every hand scratching in agony. Speak to Pharaoh of freedom, your heart bursting to serve. Brave heart, take courage. I will be your sign. My voice emerges when you speak. For history's sake, I will harden his hearing and stay his hand. The world must know it is I who send you on this errand. I who send Israel out from here, every heart yearning to be free. Hand by hand, you'll build new signs of my mercy. But first, harden your tremulous voice and speak. Tell Pharaoh I send you as my sign. His heart cannot help but harden. My hand pulls your strings. Now speak. After Moses spoke and the Israelites left, they crossed the Sea of Reeds on dry land and sang the Mi Chamocha, page 270 and 152.
Haomi chamocha ba'alim Adonai. Haomi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh. O nora tehilot, o sefer lev. O nora tehilot, o sefer lev. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption song. These songs of freedom. Malchutecha ra'u v'necha bokeyam lifnei Moshe Ozeli anu be'amru Yonah Eloch Me'olam ha'moed. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? It's all I ever had. Redemption song. These songs of freedom. Redemption song.
In our Torah portion, when Moses asked God what God's name is, God responds that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob only knew God as El Shaddai. But to Moses, God's name is Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. I will be what I will be. This will be God's name going forward, Yud-Heh Vav-Heh for short. For commentator Zohar Atkins, there is something in this name that is directly connected to the experience of Exodus and liberation. So what's the difference between El Shaddai and Yud-Heh Vav-Heh? Italian commentator Seforno says El Shaddai is the God who is consistent with the laws of nature, while Yud-Heh Vav-Heh is the God who miraculously suspends them, as in the 10 plagues. Rashi says El Shaddai is the God who promises, but Yud-Heh Vav-Heh is the God who fulfills the promise, and we'll talk about that more later. Another related possibility is that El Shaddai is a God who is known personally, while Yud-Heh Vav-Heh is a God who is known collectively. So what God is telling Moses is that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were great, but they're not you. You have a different task. This is also what the text tells us, indirectly. Moses was great, but he's not you. In the same way that God appeared differently to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, God appears differently to us from how God appeared to Moses. The Exodus story has to be rewritten in every age. Attempting to reenact a past event will never work. Perfect nostalgia fails. This is why the prayer by Rami Shapiro in our Siddur feels so right. In each age, we receive and transmit Torah. At each moment, we are addressed by the world. In each age, we are challenged by our ancient teaching. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth. In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder. In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth. Ashkivenu is page 271 and 153.
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom V'amideinu Malkeinu Lechayu. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom V'amideinu Malkeinu Lechayu. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom Amideinu Malkeinu Lechayu. Lechayu.
Eileen Stein is going to lead us in the tefillah, which begins page 273 and 155, and we rise.
Adonai Sifatai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agi, Tehilatecha. Adonai Sifatai, Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agi, Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem L'Ma'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Ata gibor le'olam Adonai, Michaye ha'akol, Ata rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach, Umorid hagashem, Michalkel chayim bechesed, Michaye ha'kol berachamim rabim, Sohomech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishene afar, Michamocha ba'agevurot, Umido mehalach, Melech memit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata lechachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, Michaye hakol. Ata kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'chol yom yachalalu chasela, Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Thank you, Eileen. We continue silently to page 282, and please be seated when you're done or when you feel the need to. Shalom Rav, our wish for peace, our blessing for peace, is on page 282.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha ve'akol yoshvei tevel. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha ve'akol yoshvei tevel. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. Ki ata umelech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata umelech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha ve'akol yoshvei tevel. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha tasim le'olam. V'tov v'necha levarech et amcha beit Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה Bishlomecha. Shalom al Yisrael Amcha. Ve'akol yoshvei tevel. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha. Tasim leolam.
Take a moment now to think of those in need of healing, whether of body, of mind, or of spirit. We think of congregants and friends of congregants and family of congregants: Ben Henderson, Kara Gilman, Rabbi Steve Robbins, Gloria Mangus, Leslie Ferris, Pamela Mangus, Judy Richmond, Jesse Dollamore, Glickle Sarah Devora, Milka Gittel, Vicky Dix, Ron McDonald, Colton Wayne Whitaker, John Cruz, Mark Feldstein, Dan Strauss, Darlene DeMason, Linda Stroman, Rachel Bat Esther Malkay Uvelva Yeshua, Leah Minkala Bat Yehuda Valifshe Hana, Kenny Hayes, William Brown. Anyone here want to add a name? So let me see on Zoom. Michael Kurland, Robin Kurland, David Tanazaki, Marsha Brown, Charlene Beck, Sandra Landis, Rachel Heslin, Jess Landis, Portia Becker. Please join us in the Misha Barach, which is on the inside cover of your prayer books in the front.
Misha Berach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov. Misha Berach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah v'Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Misha Berach Avoteinu, Misha Berach Imoteinu. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
Add Kimco and Raul Camacho to the Misha Barach list. So as you all know, we're now in the book of Exodus, which is called Shemot, or names in Hebrew. Names are very important in the Torah. Each person's name has special meaning. For example, Jacob's name in Hebrew is Yaakov, which comes from the word ekev, or heel. because Jacob held on to the heel of his older twin, trying to get out first, knowing that the firstborn inherits more than the second. After he wrestled with the unidentified Ish or man in the middle of the night, Jacob's name is changed to Yisrael, which means contending with God. The book of Shemot begins with the names of the Israelites who came down to Egypt searching for food during a famine. And in last week's Torah portion, as well as in this week's, as I've mentioned, we learn about God's name or names. So last week, God told Moses that God's name was Ehyeh Asher Ehyeh. Of course, there's no simple way to translate that. It can mean I am what I am, I will be what I will be, I am what I will be what I am. There are all sorts of permutations, and it's basically permutations of the verb to be, which is why the shorthand is Yud He Vav He, which is basically the verb to be. So God is essentially existence writ large. In this week's Torah portion, God tells Moses that the name is the shortened version, Yud He Vav He, the unpronounceable verb to be, a name with only consonants. God goes further and tells Moses that our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, only knew God as El Shaddai. Why the difference? What does this tell about these men's relationship with God? Now, I already gave you a couple of possibilities of what the difference is between these two names. And of course, there are so many because we're Jews and we always come up with different ideas. As I mentioned, Rashi, our friend, the medieval French commentator, says that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob only knew God as promising redemption in the future. They did not live to see God's fulfillment of this redemptive promise. Moses, however, is going to live long enough to see the redemption. And so Moses is going to know God in a very different dimension. The Kedushat Levi, a Hasidic commentator, takes the difference even further. What the Kedushat Levi notices is that God tells Moses, I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as El Shaddai, but I was not known to them as Yud He Vav He. So note that there are two different verbs, appeared and known. I appeared, va'era in Hebrew, which is the name of our Torah portion, is about sight. So I appeared as El Shaddai associates the name El Shaddai with sight. But the name Yud He Vav He is associated with knowing. God said, I was not known by them as Yud He Vav He. For the Kedushat Levi, one way of apprehending God is through the senses, through sight in particular. But a deeper way of understanding God is on a much more profound intuitive level, having a relationship that cannot be seen on the outside or on the surface. It goes much deeper, kind of like the iceberg. You see the top, that's El Shaddai. The bottom, underwater, is Yud He Vav He, the deeper knowledge of God. Therefore, Moses has achieved a deeper connection to God, a step beyond what our forefathers were able to reach. And this evolution suggests that our understanding of God evolves throughout history and through each of our own lifetimes. The fact that God's name is a verb means that God is not a static entity. As we live our lives and as we bring new experiences to bear on our spiritual development, our relationship with God also develops. Rabbi Daniel Polish explains it this way. God seems to suggest that our understanding of God is not static, but evolves. One generation's understanding does not determine the next. Our understanding of the natural world evolves, medicine and science. And this Torah portion tells us that our understanding of God too can grow, not only from generation to generation, but within the span of our individual lives. There's nothing wrong with the childish images that we got as children, and perhaps like many others, you thought of God as an old man in a throne up in the clouds. But they're part of our childhood. Sometimes letting go of these youthful theologies is difficult or frightening. But such letting go does not mean that we're letting go of faith or abandoning God, but of growing in faith, of evolving in our understanding. The God of all these different understandings remains the same God, Symbolic of this fundamental continuity is the fact that even as the Torah portion tells us that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were unfamiliar with the name Yud-Heh Vav-Heh, whenever their descendants pray the familiar prayer, Yavot, we still say, blessed are you, Adonai, our God, God of our fathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob. Whatever they knew God by, however they understood God, and however Moses understands God, or however we understand God, God remains the same. God doesn't change, but we do. So for those who declare, I don't believe in God, I would ask, as one of my mentors did one time, who is the God you don't believe in? Because I probably don't believe in that God either. Many of us are stuck in the childhood notion of an old man with the beard sitting on a throne in the clouds. And if it's not that concrete, we also are stuck in perhaps the idea of a giant being running the world. Well, these notions we were taught as children, and most probably we never thought further about God when we became mature adults. And so we never really achieved a mature understanding of God. I'll admit that this was my problem for a very long time. If God was up there running the world, why didn't God do anything to stop the Holocaust? Why did God allow it to happen? The result was that I could either be really angry with God or I could reject God altogether. And it took me a very long time to realize that there were many other ways to understand God. And that was such a relief. And you know what? My understanding of God is not simple. It's contradictory and complicated. For example, I don't believe in a commanding God, God who gave us the 10 Commandments and all the mitzvot of the Torah. I don't believe in that God, but I believe that I'm commanded anyway. I'm commanded as far as moral and ethical issues are concerned. And I basically believe that God is the force of good in the world. How do you explain evil? I can't go there. I have no explanation. But we're the children of Israel, of Yisrael, the God wrestler. So I wrestle with all of this. And I would like to invite everyone here to do that same wrestling, especially for people who say they don't believe in God or who are angry at God. Perhaps you might consider reaching beyond the God that you don't believe in and contemplate a new, evolving notion of God. And now I'd like to invite up our board member, Avi Lavi, who is in charge of our facilities, and you can speak in this microphone, but I'll have to turn it on for you.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, that's a long list. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. The next Torah study with Rabbi Zinger will be tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Participation will be over Zoom only, and all congregants are welcome to join. On January 22nd and January 29th, we will offer a two-part Soul of Shabbat presentation led by acclaimed liturgist Alden Solovi over Zoom only. Also on January 22nd and January 29th, along with March 12th, Riverside Center for Healthcare Education has volunteered to teach 3 classes at Temple Beth El on CPR, bleeding control, and first aid at no cost to the members. These classes will be held in the Roseanne Social Hall from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. If you're interested in attending, please email your RSVP to Rusty Russell. We highly suggest that you sign up for these classes, as the information held within them is important to know. On January 26th, we're offering a special presentation about Ukraine that will be led by Rabbi Alicia Zilberstein over Zoom only. Please join us for our next congregational meeting on February 5th at 1 p.m. in person or on Zoom. Please join us in person or over Zoom on Thursday, February 16th at 6 p.m. for a special presentation on anti-Semitism, where we are and what we can do by the Anti-Defamation League. The last message is please consider sponsoring an oneg for after services. If you're interested, please contact Wendy Golif or sign up on the oneg board in the lobby of the temple. There is also more information about sponsoring an oneg in the weekly email. The oneg for tonight has been sponsored by Joseph Blanco. Thank you.
Thank you, Avi. Yeah, these 3 sessions that are on the consecutive Sunday, or not consecutive, 22nd, January 22nd, 29th, and March 12th. Really important to try to attend those because unfortunately, anti-Semitism, exists, crime and violence exists, and this is a way to keep ourselves safe by knowing what to do under various kinds of circumstances. So I do encourage, Rusty Russell really encourages you also to try to attend those. Yes. No, they're all 3 different. One is, Avi, the first one. The CPR, bleeding control, and first aid. Your kids? Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, these are really good skills to know. And unfortunately, if you do take a CPR class, you're only certified for a year or something like that, or 2 years. I mean, because I did the last CPR class a few years ago and it's already expired. So yeah, it's really important for all of us to know these things. Yeah, we have a session in February on anti-Semitism because that's the reality. And hopefully we'll get some information about what we can do about it from the Anti-Defamation League. We have some new guests. Are you new to our temple? Well, welcome. I'm sorry? Alex and Michaela, well, welcome. You can join us in the circle. You don't have to sit all the way out there. I mean, yeah. So, yeah. And you will hopefully join us for the oneg afterwards. We have some desserts and various treats, which Wendy has put together. Thank you, Wendy. And I'd like to thank Jordan for the music tonight and Shaya for tech. Shaya is an old hand at this already. Can we see you, Shaya? Okay, I don't know, maybe the camera's not working. There he is. There he is. There's Shaya. Thank you, Shaya. And I want to thank Steve Tick for being our open arms person as well as our security person, making sure that we are safe here. Thank you, Avi and Carol Lee, for leading us in the Ve'ahavta. Thank you to Eileen for leading us in the Tefillah. And I do encourage people out there to come in person. I know some people can't do it. I understand, either for health reasons or having trouble driving at night or whatever. But seriously, we have so few people in here. And there's so many people on Zoom that it would be really nice to reverse that and have more people here and fewer on Zoom. So try to get out. I know it's cold and, it's easier to just press a button, but community is important too. And Wendy every week has endeavored to give us a lovely oneg, and it'd be nice if you could all participate. Okay, any other announcements? No, Carolee, you don't have any? Anybody on Zoom have announcements? You usually do, but it's not ski. Are you doing another ski trip this year? Another ski trip? Oh. Okay, well, I mean, they probably have a lot of snow at this point, right? Yeah, so we'll find out soon. Okay, well, why don't we have Stephen and Dan Siegel come and open the Ark for the Aleinu? And we rise, and the Aleinu is on the, all you have to do is open the door. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to sing or anything. Yeah, and it's on the inside cover of your prayer book. Gordon's going to give it a shot.
Aleinu l'shabeach Adon hakol, lateit gedula leotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishpachot hadama, shelo sam kelchenu kahem, vegor aleinu vechol hamonam, v'nachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei Melech Malkei Hamalchim Hakadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Notei Shamayim Veyosed Haaretz Umashava Kairo Hashamayim Mimal Ushkinatuzo Bekohei Moromim Hu Eloheinu Einod Emet Malkeinu Efezulato Kakatu Betorato Vedat Hayom Hashivota Elevevecha Ki Adonai Hu HaElohim Vashamayim Mimal Ve'al Haaretz Mitachat Ein Hod, Kakatu v'Toratecha, Adonai limloch leolam ba'ed, v'nemar, v'haya Adonai, v'melech kol haaretz, v'yom ha'u, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo, Ushemo echad.
We take a moment now to think of those who are no longer with us. May their memories be for a blessing. We're observing Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Jonathan Davidson, husband of Karina Davidson and father of Jacob Davidson. Is anyone here in Shiva Shloshim or the first year of mourning? First year Judith Cohen, first year Sheldon Cohen, first year Sean Heslin, first year Phil Bush, first year Terry Sean, Stephen Alexander, first year Gay Louise Wright, and we're observing yard sites this Shabbat for Norman Burke, Joe Jerome, Virginia Matthias, Sarah Taylor, Seymour Birkenwald, Bernice Usack, Steve Black, Lillian Exler, Norman Grant, John Cronenfeld, Jeanette Urban, Herman Band, Samuel Elkin, Edith Klieger, Jacob Schneider, Henriette Halleck, Lillian Metch, Esther Gropin, Shirley Boasberg, Abraham Levy, Murray Willen, Janet Baker. Anyone else here observing a yard site? Anyone on Zoom observing a yard site? Of course, think of those who perished in the Holocaust and have no one to say the Mourner's Kaddish for them. Please join me in the Mourner's Kaddish as we rise. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'alma divrach yechutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'zman kariv imru. Amen. Hey shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnak. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha b'richu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachata v'nechemata. Ran be'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say, Amen. And because my Devar Torah and some of what I talked about during the service was about God, revealing God's self in different ways to different generations, Jordan picked the times they are changing as the closing song, and hopefully you have copies.
Ready. Come gather round, people, wherever you roam. Admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept that it's soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming, or you'll sink like a stone. For the times they are a change. Writers, critics who prophesize with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin, and there's no telling who that it's naming. For the loser now will be later to win, for the times they are. Stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall. For he that gets hurt will he who has stalled. There's a battle outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. For the times they are a changing. Mothers and fathers throughout the land, don't criticize what you can't understand. Sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Old road is rapidly aging. Please get out the new one if you can't lend your hand, for the times they are a change. A line it is drawn, a curse it is cast. Slow on now will later be fast. At the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last. For the times they are a change. For the times they are a change. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Motzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Motzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Please join us for the oneg, and people at home, please feel free to chat with each other.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Have a good week.
Shabbat shalom, one and all.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, friends.
Shabbat shalom.
Good night, Jordan and Suzanne.